Epic music began to play as the video started. The White God. Rage declared as a massive white creature with an equally massive chin burst forth from the icy ground. The Black God. He announced the next creature, a spiky black creature just as massive as the first bursting out of a volcanic floor. The Blue God. Rage said, now sounding a bit confused and awkward as a massive blue humanoid creature appeared from thin air. The Silver Key dash he went on as a pair of gloved hands held a small, but beautiful silver key. Okay, that derailed really quickly. Rage admitted as everything went dark. The group was shocked at the first three beings. Whoa! Did you see those things? They were giant. Ilya cried out, blending into the couch to try and hide. They both shot out from the ground. So they're both burrowers. That first one burst out from a bunch of ice. To be deep enough underground for that much ice to be over itself, the weight of said ice would have to be several tons. Glinda said in shock. And the other one burst out of lava. And likely, right out of floor of the volcano, too, which would be incredibly dense and sturdy rock, as well as obsidian, so no doubt it's equally difficult to break through. Penny analyzed. And that blue thing's pretty freaky, too. Nora said, curling up in a bit of a ball. Yeah, but didn't it sound like Rage was unsure about that one, like it didn't belong? It doesn't look like it fits the bill for these kinds of monsters. John noted. Well said, Mr. Ark. It looks far too humanoid to be any monster from the classifications we've seen. Ashvin agreed. Then, everyone completely face-bombed at the sight of the key. Okay, he's just messing with us now. He's just saying things that sound kind of epic. Blake pointed out. Yeah. But you have to admit, for a minute, it did sound really epic. Emerald admitted. An Arctic landscape was then shown. Welcome, one and all, fellow hunters, as we talk about the remaining two monsters that can not only challenge elder dragons, but dominate them. Two creatures of legend, of utmost power, they are said to be the earthly incarnations of gods. One of fire and one of ice. They both don't play nice, that's all I could think of. Rage laughed as the white creature was seen swimming through ice and snow while the black creature roared furiously. And we shall start with Ukanlos. Rage explained, showing the creature in all its glory. Hearing that these two can take on and beat elder dragons will turn some heads. They can beat elder dragons? Cinder asked in disbelief, holding on to Luna in concern. And to be able to dominate them, like he said. It has to be, because of how massive they are. They just body slam elder dragons and crush them, right? That's all it is? Velvet suggested, looking around. I'm sure all of us and the guild wish that's all it was. Razara said. To beat living natural disasters. They really might be gods after all. Adam said in shock. Then, they saw the creature swimming through solid ice and snow. It's swimming through ice like nothing. It takes giant tanker ships to break through ice at even half that speed. This thing's a total powerhouse. Summer stated. I don't see what the fuss is about. Zamtrios was able to easily swim through ice in a similar manner. Weiss declared proudly, stroking Gladius' back as if she or her sister could take credit for the creature's abilities. Sadly, dear sister, it isn't nearly as similar as you made it out to be. From what I observed, Zamtrios simply dove into a frozen lake. A thick layer of ice on top to be sure, which its dorsal fin sliced through with ease, but there was water which Zamtrios swam through under the water, not solid ice in the same manner as Ukanlos. Winter told her sister, placing a hand on her monster partner's side. The white creature was shown roaring loud enough to create an avalanche as music was suddenly heard. Frozen cold, blizzards, and ice, I'll put you on a cart thrice. I'm Ukanlos, the white god, coming for you like a shark do. I'm Ukanlos, I'm the boss, leaving you sore fuck Akantor. The mighty white behemoth rapped as it emerged from beneath the snow and ice, taking a few moments to allow its body to be observed before letting out a devastating roar. Suddenly, the beast's counterpart was shown. What? Akantor demanded, clearly not happy with the insult. Oh, nice. That's a total burn. RWBY giggled a bit. Yeah, for an ice monster, he just brought some heat. Neo agreed. So, I'm guessing those two have a beef with each other? Roman asked. They honestly have a beef with everything that breathes, but they're so comparable to each other, they've been given an unofficial rivalry. You'll see later. Katana explained. The avalanche from before was seen. Ukanlos, then Rage started, but then quickly paused the video. Oh, by the way, how do you feel about chins? Like if I said to you, who's got the best chin? What would you come back to me with? I mean, we got Captain Quark, you know? It looks like quite squishy, you know, like you wanna just grab it, you know? It's not a bad chin. Rage gave one option as a rather dim-witted looking man in a superhero costume rose from nowhere. I mean, you've got, of course. This kid here. I mean, what the fuck? Like, his parent cannot love him, but you know, it's a striking chin. Rage went on as a young boy with a chin that looked like a giant set of male reproductive organs. You got the crimson chin, I mean, that's like his power, right? Rage questioned as a man in a red skin-tight suit that showed off his muscles, and his massive chin was shown flying forward. Uragon was then shown. Uragon, don't even leave. Rage ordered the metallic beast, sending it flying away with a scream. Ironwood looked confused as seeing the supposed captain on the screen. Who is that? He looks like he has no clue what he's doing. Ironwood said. Well, like Rage said, that's Captain Quark. And, put simply, you're correct, he has absolutely no idea what he's doing. He's strong enough, he can lift a 10-ton weight with one arm, but he's an arrogant, idiotic coward who serves as comic relief in his series. Teko explained. I'd rather not grab or squish anyone's chin, but his especially. Hazel said, not wanting to be anywhere near that man. Then, nearly everyone did a spit take when they saw the young boy's chin. Oh. That's unfortunate. Pyrrha said. And then they saw the crimson chin. Well, he certainly seems to be interesting. And it seems like he's taken at least a bit more seriously than Captain Quark. But a chin that long must be inconvenient. Ren noted. The Cinnamon Trio was a bit upset at Rage being mean to the Uragon, but remembered another Uragon bullying Dodagama and decided they were fine with it. And RWBY had another issue. Seriously, the chins on those things creep me out. Too much like Thanos. She said, the others nodding in agreement. The avalanche was shown again, still paused. No. The champion of chins, Ukanlos. Rage, declared as Ukanlos, was finally shown in all its glory. Look at that. It's a serrated shovel chin. Like, imagine being able to claim, yeah, baby. I've got a serrated shovel chin that I used to dig through the snow along with my streamlined, serrated body to move incredibly fast under the ice despite my huge size. Did I mention my huge size? The host boasted as if it were coming from Ukanlos' mouth, before romantic music began to play as Ukanlos appeared to be nodding suggestively. They were all quite shocked when they got a complete look at the beast, especially its chin. Whoa. They weren't lying, that thing is the king of chins. And yeah, definitely king, because that's a man's chin right there. Young said, purring a bit. You got that right. And with how sharp it is, I don't think anyone's messing with that. I bet you wish you had a jaw like that, Jimmy? Crow asked, the general turning away in annoyance, secretly feeling his and imagining having a chin more like the beast, but in his size, obviously. Then, the bit about the huge size came up and Coco smirked. Ooh, I wonder what else he has that is a huge size. She said in a suggestive tone. Coco, stop making such dirty jokes. Velvet whined. Aw, come on, Bun Bun. You know you're giggling on the inside. Coco told her. Rage laughed at this. It's like, come on. And the sad thing is, that chin is the last thing you'll ever see before being hit by Ukanlos' most irritating and arguably devastating move. He loves to slowly ungulate through the ice, up and down as he moves towards you, and this moment is terrifying. You're sprinting away, you're like I don't want to die, and the timing you need to successfully evade this was nearly impossible. Many hunters met their end by failing to successfully escape the beast's serrated sides. He was discovered by the 2nd Fleet and has remained a champion of destroying parties to this day. The host explained as Ukanlos brought down the weight of its body on an unfortunate hunter, the other hunters in the party mourning the defeat of their friends. Ruby and Velvet shivered as they heard the haunting tune that is the Jaws theme. I hate that song so much. It's so creepy. Ruby whined, clinging tightly to her mother. Yang smirked at this and leaned over to Coco. We totally have to get these on our scrolls. It'll be so much fun teasing them with it, she said, the fashionista smirking and nodding. Yang, sweetie? Summer said. Yang looked over to her stepmother and was shocked and horrified at the aura she saw radiating off of her, despite her kind and warm smile with her eyes closed. I would highly recommend not doing that, unless you want to go over my knee every night before bedtime for the rest of the time we're here. She warned her eldest daughter, opening her eyes into a terrifying glare. Of the many things I missed about summer, that was not one of them. Glinda said, remembering having seen that terrifying aura before when the two girls were students and someone made the mistake of messing with Summer's teammates, or when the Branwyn twins were bickering and Summer reached her limit on their arguments. Another group of hunters was seen fighting a Ukanlos in a different location. So, when he would go under the ice and start swimming through it like it was water. You see, he does strike an impressive figure, right? He's this turtle Y shark covered in serrated white plates that give him this streamlined appearance that really is quite intimidating. He is bulky, he is huge, and he just auras this power emanating from him. Though underneath, he's actually a big softie. Because of a thick layer of blubber to survive the extreme cold like a whale. Further deep down than that, there is a heart of pure hatred. Like his eyes glow with malice. Rage explained, before a hunter was seen face to face with Ukanlos, who indeed glared back at the hunter with beady yellow eyes that seemed to desire only death and destruction. The close-up of his malice eye will unnerve some of the teens. So scary. Nora said in fear, clinging to Ren. It's like the eyes of a Grimm, only colder. Not their burning rage, but a cold, dark hatred. Ren said, holding her close. It's almost like its gaze could freeze you more than the weather around it ever could. Blake said, her faunus instincts kicking in as she was on the back of the couch, as far back as she could be from the beast. I did not think my programming allowed me to be capable of fear. I was wrong. Penny said. That sensation will fade eventually, students. As intimidating as its gaze may be, it is merely a glare. Its eyes are one thing that cannot hurt you. You will experience things far worse than any glare could be. You will learn to move past this and become stronger. Then, even this beast's gaze will not frighten you. Winter told them. Wise words, Specialist Schnee. Learn and grow from your experiences, students. Experience is strength and knowledge is power. With enough of it and of course, the proper training, you may one day reach the level of Summer and Crow. Possibly even beyond them. Ashbin said. I don't know about that one, Oz. You kids might get close, but outshining Team STRQ just ain't possible. Crow said, Summer rolling her eyes and punching his shoulder, but she couldn't help but smile. Crow was still devoted to the team, even if it was in shambles. A group of hunters was shown against the beasts again. Yeah. Tiny, little, beady death eyes staring into your soul, covered with one of his ridged plates to protect them from the harsh weather, which is a rather nice little feature, because he only lives in extremely remote, cold environments, and by cold, I mean fucking freezing. Rage explained, whispering the last bit. He lives in the most Arctic-wide places he can damn find, carving out entire ice kingdoms for himself with a massive swath of territory, of which he is incredibly aggressive and protective of. Woe betide anyone who enters the territory of a Ukanlos, because, really, that's the last mistake you'll ever make. Rage warned as the Ukanlos leapt surprisingly massive distances across the frozen plains or tunneled through into the ice below and powered forward towards the hunters. Wonderful. That puts Atlas in its line of fire. Ironwood said. And most, if not all of our family's dust mines. Weiss added. Do you Elysians ever think about other people before yourselves? Ilya asked. Hey, to be fair, Atlas sounds like the only place that would get hit by these things. I don't see them popping up in Menagerie or Vacuo. Roman said reasonably. The beast dug its chin into the ground and shot up some icy boulders at the hunters. And this extends to monsters. I mean, on the dietary list of a Ukanlos is things like a Kirin, yeah. You know, not bad. And, oh, I don't know, a Deviljo. Yeah, these things nom on Deviljo, not Rajong, by the way, just saying. Though, that's probably a habitat issue more than anything. He also likes to eat, you know, just herbivores, and the final item on a typical Ukanlos list is Rage began, before stopping and wondering how to pronounce the name as the hunters actually managed to topple the beast. The more energetic and immature members' brains shut down hearing this news. THTH, they can actually eat Deviljos? John asked in shock and horror. It is a bit of a shock, but while Deviljo is quite massive, this beast is clearly several times larger. Kira noted. Neo smirked at this. So then the World Eater actually got eaten like a pickle. She declared. This got a few chuckles from the group. Well, that's a fun way of looking at it. Coco admitted. If it can eat something as dangerous as Deviljo, there's nothing fun about it. Hazel said. The beast got back up as the hunters continued their assault. But either way, the final item on his menu is a Kushala Deora. Yep, he's totally fine with taking down and eating Deoras that wander into his territory, so. Yeah. That tells you what you need to know. Rage said a bit fearfully as the creature did its shark attack once again as a message appeared, reading this also applies to Akantor. And the thing is, that's what I love about him. He is not an elder dragon, he's not mystical, you know, there's not anything like, no force of nature about him, he is just a supremely powerful organism expertly adapted to dominate his environment as a tip-top apex predator, and his power, strength, and fortitude allows him to take down a being that can summon tornadoes and storms like it ain't no thing. He's just a monstrously, perfectly evolved animal, and I can really get behind that. The creature rose back up and continued its attack on the surface. Everyone was shocked at this. Not even the elder dragons are safe. We knew it could defeat them even easily if Rage is to be believed, but for them to actually eat elder dragons, especially one made from metal. Adam said, struggling to process this information. Sure, they knew Nergigant also ate other elders, but it was also an elder and had overwhelming physical force, as well as being able to make countless spikes to fire at them. How could anyone stop something like that? It sounds impossible. Emerald said fearfully. They have to be the ultimate predator. A true apex. If Salem was mortal, I doubt even she could survive the battle. Cinder said worriedly. Ukanlos leapt at the hunters several more times. So yeah, Nergigant, you think you're cool with the whole eating elders thing? TCH. Ain't nobody as cool as Ukanlos. Rage declared as a pair of pixelated sunglasses descended onto Ukanlos' face as someone screamed YEHHHHHH. In the background, Yang and Neo laughed at this. Okay, that was a pretty cool joke, Yang said, causing everyone else to groan. And something about those shades, even if they're pixelated. Neo agreed. Hey, rock the right kind of shades, anyone can look cool. Coco stated, putting her glasses on Velvet, who now looked like the coolest person in the room, even as she blushed madly. Ukanlos turned and tunneled below the ground once again. Because he lives in the ice. He can literally hibernate under the ice for years and years, which makes sense. As an Arctic-based animal, he needs to be able to survive on low amounts of food and energy, because meals tend to be few and far between in such sparse wilderness, so that makes sense. So, get wrecked, Nergigant. Rage awkwardly fumbled to explain his joke, to which Nergigant just looked unsure of how to react afterwards. And now he ruined it. Adam said. Actually, it's kind of funny. He was so sure of himself, now he's all hesitating and unsure. The contrast is pretty funny, John admitted. And Nergigant's expression is also quite humorous. Ren added. Yeah, he's like, really? You actually just explained your joke. He looks so annoyed. Nora giggled. A hunter managed to cut of Ukanlos' tail, but this just infuriated the beast, making it fight harder than ever. But thanks to this streamlined body, he's essentially just a walking snowplow everywhere. He can cut through the ice at incredible speeds, swim through it as if it was nothing. For his size, he moves ridiculously fast, surprisingly so. So he chooses a hunter, swims through the ice towards them, homing in. The other three hunters are just kind of watching going, hey, good luck, I hope you time your dive, you're fucking dead, mate, and you're just like, come on, guys. Please, as you sprint away from this giant ice demon. It makes Diablo's burrow dodging look like an absolute walk in a park. This is haystack in a needle timing. I mean, that's impressive putting a haystack in a needle, to be fair. But it was really irritating. Hell, hunters have even made videos on how to dodge this attack. Rage declared as Ukanlos used its burrowing attack numerous times, the hunter of focus being lucky enough to not be targeted at any point in time. Many laughed at the idea of the other hunters leaving their targeted friend. Wow, you really get a sense of camaraderie with these hunters, don't ya? Roman said sarcastically. Hey, can you really blame him? The ungodly fusion of a bulldozer and a shark swimming at him through solid ice. Crow pointed out. Still, though. Their friend is in danger, surely they could at least try something to save him. Hira said, a bit disappointed in the other hunters. And what could they do? When it's beneath the ice, their only target is a giant, serrated turtle shell. Rage already said how difficult it was to avoid the attack, so rushing in at it when it's doing the attack would be suicide. Hazel said. I'm afraid he's right, Miss Nikos. While it is admirable you wish to defend everyone you can, you also must accept there are times when you cannot save someone, and if they are to survive, they'll have to save themselves. And rushing in headlong into danger will only risk your life when it wasn't in danger in the first place. A mistake that would have cost you your life had Katana not intervened. Ojban reminded her, Team JNPR shuddering as a sense of dread washed over them, and they, but John especially, held their Spartan closely. The hunters managed to knock Ukanlos over and attacked its vulnerable state once again. That's the thing that Ukanlos is best known for, but outside of that, he is a magnificent animal, incredibly rare and containing unmistakable raw curious power and originally mistaken for an elder dragon, as these powerful non-elders tend to be, but no, he indeed is not an elder dragon. He can also consume ice, buckets of ice, buckets, that's tiny compared to him, lost of ice, he eats. And he absorbs what nutrients he can, and it helps keep his body temperature regulated, and they also let him do his ridiculous ice beam attack. It is just this pure rage began, making a blasting noise, cutting through everything as it just tears the ground and hunters asunder. It is really quite scary when he starts firing off the ice beam, which gives him some lovely ranged ability. Rage explained as the Ukanlos got back up, rose to its hind legs, and let out a massive roar. Oh, good. We're not safe at a distance, either, Ilias said. That ruins my strategy of staying back with my arrows and fireballs, Cinder said in concern. Her best and really only plan to fight this thing just went out the window. That might even be able to match my own laser in power, Penny stated in shock and awe. Ukanlos was then seen digging its chin into the ground, breaking off and launching a boulder of ice high into the air. And lovely ranged ability goes further, because he uses his shovel chin to dig into the ground and just fling boulders of crushing ice at his targets. His roar is just striking and awe-inspiring. Rage gushed over the creature's abilities as a sound clip of the roar was played as the Ukanlos was still fighting the hunting party. He can even leap huge distances with his powerful legs. I really can't stress how agile this guy is for his size here. Size is the key here. For a non-elder dragon, he is one of the biggest monsters going, competing with only a handful for sheer bulk, but that bulk combined with his speed and power and his just perfect adaptation to where he lives, you can see why he's such a dominating force that people were like, yeah, this is probably the white god, right? This is definitely a god. God of jaws, maybe. God, that jaw. Rage said dreamily, before singing about how much he wished to break the creature's jaw as the fight continued. Why would he want to break its chin? That's so cruel, Velvet cried out. Some of Ukanlos' most valuable materials come from its chin, just like with Diablo's and its horns. It's not right, but when we need parts, you gotta do what you gotta do, Teko explained. But considering the fact that Ukanlos can't be captured and have to be killed or, in super rare circumstance, merely driven away, I'd say a little bit of damage to their chin is the least of their worries. Rizara added. You guys should work on coming up with bigger, better traps that can catch big monsters like them and elder dragons, RWBY said. We'll also have to work towards coming up with methods of capturing these creatures as well. All of our current technology and equipment focuses only on killing the Grim rather than capturing, Blake noted. With monsters like Ukanlos and elder dragons, I don't think the problem is with the traps as it is so much trying not to be killed by the monsters first. It's sad, but sometimes you have to prioritize your own survival. If you can take your target alive, that's great, but you have to be ready for the eventuality that it may be you or them, Ironwood told everyone. Ukanlos continued to leap back and forth in an attempt to crush the hunters. So, I admit, I have been holding out on you a little bit here. So, Ukanlos then, that's essentially everything, he's just a really powerful, big, well-adapted to snow animal. However, what class of monster would you say that he is? Rage asked as it reared to its hind legs and roared once again. A very brave hunter actually managed to mount the Ukanlos, who flailed around to get her off. He is a Rage began as a drum roll played. Flying Wyvern, Rage announced. Suddenly, it showed a video of a couple of boys walking down a school hallway, one of them stopping and holding his arm out to stop his friend, who had Ukanlos' head superimposed over most of his upper body. "Whoa. What?" the first guy asked. The Ukanlos was finally overwhelmed by the huntress mounting him and fell. "Yep. He's a flying wyvern." "Flying wyvern," Rage said awkwardly, before a comic of a Ukanlos soaring through the air with a heartwarming song in the background. A hunter and a Jagian hunter armor watched this in shock and disbelief, before the Ukanlos fell from the air and crashed down upon them. Many were frozen speechless at this, their jaws dropping, unable to process the information they were told. Finally, Weiss got her voice back. "He's messing with us, right? This has to be a joke. Because there is no way the Hunters Guild would identify something that bulky as a flying wyvern." She shouted, refusing to believe this new knowledge she gained. Seriously, were they high when they first encountered it, and just mistook it jumping across the field as flying? Emerald thought up the only reasonable scenario as to why the creature is known in such a way. Does the guild ever change its classification for some monsters? Glinda asked, still in disbelief that they allowed this monster to become a flying wyvern. To my knowledge, they've only ever done it once. They reclassified RWBY, the smallest known flying wyvern, into a snake wyvern because its head looks like a snake. Rizara explained as she showed a picture of the beast. While its head is very snake-like, it clearly looks more like a flying wyvern. It was Winter's turn to be shocked at this. Why? For what purpose? They changed the classification of a flying wyvern when only its head looks like a snake, yet they're not willing to change the classification of a monster that would never possibly be able to fly. She questioned. To be fair, Winter, we saw a number of flying wyverns that couldn't fly, but you are right, it is egregious they haven't fixed a mistake as massive as this. I'm willing to bet whoever is in charge of classifications is simply lazy. Glinda said. With how some things have been classified, you're not wrong. Katana admitted. I thought that comic at the end was kind of cute, though. Ruby said. Until the Ukanlos crashed down on those two. Summer pointed out, a bit sad at their apparent destruction, even if it was fake. Ukanlos dug up and launched some more boulders with its chin. I love that comic so much, but it is hilarious that he is a flying wyvern. The thing is, he's technically a part of animals like Tigrex and Nargacuga whose front legs, which in a normal wyvern are developed into wings, have developed back into more, well, actual forelimbs that are used, well, like legs, for more powerful, land-based travel. But he still technically has the tiniest little nub of wing on his front two legs. It's so tiny, but he's still classified as a flying wyvern. Tigrex is still classified as a flying wyvern. There is the term pseudo-wyvern, but that's just something we hunters made up, not actually recognized by the guild. Rage explained as Ukanlos did a few more jumps. Well, if the hunters are doing all the work, I think the least you could do is give them the new class. I doubt it's that tough to change the classifications on a few monsters. Coco said. Agreed. I understand the explanation, but that creature still does not qualify as a flying wyvern. I don't care what they say. Pseudo-wyvern is the only thing that makes at least a fraction of sense. Weiss stated. In the end, does it really matter what class it is? You know its name, what it looks like, and how it fights. That's all you should need. Classification and categories is just a waste of time at that point. Hazel scoffed. There is always time for accuracy and specifications. Rand declared matter-of-factly. A volcanic region was then shown. So, let's move on to his counterpart, then. Akantor. Rage introduced the next monster as a black spiky beast was shown in combat with a Gravios. I'm Akantor and I can gore through your armoire, so be sure you wanna step to Akantor, who's known for a total war. I'm the Black God, snapping Gravios, roar away, and Tigrex, you're next. I expect this'll be your loss, fuck you Ukanlos. The spiky black beast rapped much like his counterpart before him. As expected, the white god was then shown. What? The monster demanded indignantly. Dang. That was way harder than Ukanlos' rap. Crow said, impressed and even a bit intimidated. It looks like it could even take on a leviathan. Then again, it almost looks like a Grim itself. Ironwood said. I didn't think it was possible to look meaner than Ukanlos. I was wrong. John said, holding on to Pyrrha tightly as she stroked his hair. Akantor was then seen moving through the volcanic landscape. So, Ukanlos is smooth and icy. Akantor is every bit as powerful, but he is spiky and fiery. I mean, really, I could end the video right there, because it really is just a case of a fire ice flip-flop, but let me introduce you, actually, to Gravios, a huge wyvern that has quite literally a rock-hard carapace. He is quite sizable. I've not fought him in so long, but he's quite irritating to say the least, but he's capable of firing a huge magma beam that is decimating. He is a powerful creature, okay? And Gravios, then, is a morning snack for Akantor. He feeds on them. Constantly. And that gives you the starting idea of where this guy is going. Rage explained as Gravios and Akantor circled each other, before Gravios fired its beam at the beast. However, Akantor was barely fazed by this attack and managed to power through it, slamming Gravios into the cliff wall behind it, grabbing it by the neck and flinging it over itself, no doubt breaking the neck and killing the armor wyvern. Seeing Akantor's face up close, Blake, Ilya, and Velvet's faunus instincts all kicked into overdrive and they dove behind the couch in fear, hoping to hide from the presence of an apex predator. Even Adam was gripping on the couch tightly, trying to resist repeating the actions of his fellow faunus. That presence. Only a Latrian has even come close to that level of danger. Blake said fearfully. Every fiber of my being wants to get further away than this, but I can't. Ilya cried out, clinging tightly to Spectre, blending with the color of her monster's chest to become invisible. And those teeth look like they could go through a paladin. I don't want to think of what it would do to us. Velvet said, holding tightly to Coco, the leader of Team CFBY, trying to console her teammate/girlfriend, while struggling to breathe from the crushing hug. Those tusks are so cool. Imagine what they could do to giant Grim like leviathans or wyverns. RWBY cheered. Then, upon hearing that it eats Gravios, a literal rock monster, their minds were blown. How? Gravios is massive and made of rocks. Akantor isn't even that much larger than it. It shouldn't be able to swing it around in such a manner. Pyrrha cried out. Actually, Pyrrha, I have a theory. Akantor appears to be very close in size to Ukanlos, but as it doesn't live in such cold environments and doesn't have the need for insulating blubber, the room that blubber would have taken up is likely replaced by pure muscle. In which case, it is likely far stronger than Gravios and likely significantly stronger than Ukanlos as well. So throwing Gravios around like a chew toy is within the realm of possibility. Penny theorized. Akantor then slammed the body to the ground in preparation to eat its meal. Akantor then, also a flying wyvern. Rage began awkwardly as laughter was heard in the background. Equally as capable of taking down elder dragons as Ukanlos, he went on. However, Akantor suddenly lifted its head and roared. Victory! The creature cried out in triumph over its victim. Yep. Definitely. You won. Nobody's gonna argue that point. Emerald said nervously. I would say you're a chicken for just submitting like that, but in this case, can't blame you. Coco said, equally on edge. She's been conditioned to that because of Cinder. Neo said jokingly. Cinder glared at the former mute, but couldn't help but marvel at Akantor. I bet if one of those showed up in Salem's territory, it would decimate her castle before she could bring it down, she said in wonder. The volcano behind the beast erupted, as if in response to its mighty roar. In fact, encounters other creatures a lot more than Ukanlos. Ukanlos likes to be more a loner. Akantor has been sighted across multiple environments, including actually snowy ones. Could you imagine a battle between these two? It's even a common fear of the guild and many hunters within it that if an Akantor and Ukanlos do meet, they would fight each other. They're both unbelievably aggressive predators, and the result and fallout of that titanic clash, well, it would be devastating on the surrounding environs. You would have destruction cutting a swath through land at unprecedented scale. So, the guild likes to keep tabs on these creatures and make sure they stay separate, and often, hunting parties are sent out to really keep Akantors, especially since they, as they like to roam, in check. Rage explained as an Akantor roared, sending cracks filled with lava through the ground, which a hunter wearing what had to be Akantor armor and the Akantor greatsword ran to avoid. Everyone was both astonished and disturbed learning that these two monsters are so strong. The guild is really afraid of them meeting and fighting? They could actually do that much damage? Summer said in shock, to which Katana and her daughters nodded. To have to put that much effort into monitoring them, more effort than you use for most elder dragons. I can see why they're referred to as gods. Glinda said, gripping her crop tightly in horror. I understand being specialized, but the idea of something growing to that level to be completely unchallenged. The elder dragons were a stretch, but still just in the realm of believability. I'm having trouble even fathoming it. Winter said, just as stunned as Glinda and Summer. Dang. Now that's a sword. Nora said in amazement. I know, right? I bet even Yatsu would have trouble swinging that beast of a blade. Coco said playfully. That's not fair, Coco. I bet Yatsu could totally do it. He'd definitely take the challenge, at least. Velvet defended their teammate. And that armor looks so epic. Good luck to any Grim trying to take a bite out of someone wearing that. Young laughed. Not unless they want their mouth turned into Elysian cheese. Crow agreed. The beast roared again, sending out sound waves that tore apart the ground, leaving big pools of lava around the arena as a hazard for the hunter. But, yeah, he likes to roam around the place and just destroy everything he comes across, so. That means villages, monsters, people, hunters. It's given him the nickname in a lot of places, the Disaster, so. Yeah. He's covered in these spines that shake when he roars and give him, well, anti-air defense, which I think is quite cool. His fangs can puncture rocks, which is how he can hunt Gravios. He's got one hell of a jaw strength that can shatter rock. His physical prowess is crazy. His spiky, clubbed tail will absolutely decimate you if it connects. He crushes you into the ground. He's got no kind of breath or beam-Y attacks, but what he does have is one hell of a pair of lungs. He said the last bit in sing-song as the hunter attacked, trying to stay in Akantor's blind spot. They saw the breath and were quite shocked to see what looked like a giant stream of steam. I think Rage needs glasses, because that certainly looked like a beam to me. Weiss cried out. Was that steam? Oh, great. My clothes are dry clean only, and steam is a nightmare for these glorious locks. Roman said, covering his hair in fear as Yang hugged her own luxurious mane. Assuming you also survived having your skin stripped off, yes, I suppose that could be a problem. Ashbin said with a roll of his eyes. It might even be able to melt our Elysian nights. Ironwood said in concern. The beast continued to turn and look for the hunter as he remained in its blind spot. His lungs are so powerful that his roar-rage began, playing a clip of the beast's roar as it was crushing a hunter under its paw. His roar shatters the ground around him because of the sheer force projected and causes little bits of lava to erupt outwards. I mean, when he goes on his hind legs and bellows out his fury, casting the shadow of death across the battlefield, it is a sight to just stand there and be like, oh my god. You never forget your first Akantor. Rage said reminiscently, before sighing. They then noticed that Akantor's hind legs were far smaller than his forelegs. It seems like its hind legs are much smaller than its front ones. Similar to how Duramboro's front legs are much smaller. Ren noted. True, but Duramboro's doesn't use its front legs, so for them to be smaller and vestigial makes sense. The hind legs of quadrupeds like Akantor need to be strong to push their bodies forward. It's kind of surprising that they can hold its full weight when it rears back and roars. They must be pretty strong for their small size. Adam agreed. It may be because of the tail, too. A lot of animals use their tails as anchors and counterweights. Since Akantor's tail is also a club, it would have to be weighted to deal that kind of damage. Hazel explained, being somewhat of an expert on throwing your weight and force around. The hunters continued to attack Akantor. He can use his powerful roar to fire sonic-based attacks at you to absolutely shred. More than that, he is just about the physical domination. He wants to dominate you physically with just powerful smashes, swipes, tail, just everything at his disposal, charging at you, burrowing underground, coming out with lava everywhere, able to swim through lava, burrow through rock. He is essentially immune to fire, and he is just terrifying. There's not a lot more to say about him. He really is just a Ukanlos, but fiery, but the Black God. Disaster. Akantor. A terrifying, aggressive apex predator that will quite literally mow down everything in his path, because he's just constantly having a really bad day and needs to take it out on the world. Rage finished as the hunter dove out of the way of yet another air cannon-like roar, before going on the offensive to take down the beast. Oh, great. That basically makes it an oversized Carden. Nora grumbled. It certainly does fit the bill now that you put it like that. That certainly hurts my opinion of it somewhat. Hira agreed. But Carden is a pushover. This thing could actually be a problem. Blake pointed out. If they're a problem, we'll deal with them together. Ruby declared. I'm not so sure we can. John said in concern. So, thoughts? Katana asked like always. Those were so awesome. Yang said. It's still unreal to think that they're actually capable of bringing down elder dragons. Weiss said. And it can even eat some of them. And Deviljo. They are able to combat beasts with god-level power and come out on top. Glinda said in amazement. Well, to be fair, Rage did say they were incredibly specialized to absolutely dominate in the way that they have. Winter explained. Which is why it's the best course of action that they shouldn't be brought to Remnant. They've already developed on your world to be nigh unchallenged. Imagine if they further adapted to deal with the Grim and Dust. They may become too much for anyone to stop. We'd essentially be trading the gods of light and darkness for creatures far more fearsome and even less merciful. Ashbin stated. Yeah. Your gods weren't merciful to start with. You can't get less merciful than no mercy. Teko told the reincarnating headmaster. I agree with Ashbin. Their power is simply too great. And Ukanlos would certainly appear in areas like Atlas. If it saw the city, we'd likely have to send our full military might even to simply drive it off, let alone kill it. Ironwood said. I understand, they seem really overwhelming, but remember, these monsters are still regularly brought down by humans without aura and semblances. Razara reminded them. I believe that for many of these monsters, Even some of the elder dragons, but you cannot tell me that ordinary humans are capable of bringing down literal forces of nature like those walking calamities. Ironwood said. That's exactly what we're telling you. Katana told him, showing a clip of Alia and Cotton facing off against Akantor. Alia rushed in and struck the beast in the face with her greatsword, but it merely bounced off one of the beast's mighty tusks and angered the creature, which turned its attention towards the huntress. No, Akantor, no. I'm so sorry. She cried out, before diving out of the way as the creature pulled back and lunged forward with its mouth open, shoveling up some rock from the ground where she once stood and consuming it. However, upon tasting no flesh, it looked down and found her once again as she got up and began to flee from the beast, who chased after her, snapping its jaws as it pursued her. I'll be on your side, just please, dash. She pleaded as she continued to run. Suddenly, another voice rang out from nowhere. Look out. Cotton alerted as he ran past his mentor and towards the beast, time seeming to slow down as the apprentice cried out in determination and swung his longsword to perform a masterful parry, knocking down the beast as epic music played in the background. All the students cheered at this. That was so freaking epic. John shouted, his team cheering alongside him. He brought it down like nothing. That was amazing. Cinder said in shock. That guy's a beast. I guess Akantor knows now not to mess with Crab Boy. Neo agreed. Yeah. Go, Cotton. Ruby cheered, her team joining in as well. And that scythe is so awesome. She added. Nice work, Pinky. Coco yelled as well. Velvet smiled at this, touched by Cotton's dedication. It was really sweet how Cotton risked everything to save his teammate like that. Plus, like you all said, it was pretty epic. She said. And yet, I've got the feeling that whatever comes afterward is somehow gonna top it. Roman said. So, what's next? Ilya asked. Well, next up, my brother made another video about one of the greatest threats the New World had ever seen. A monster so powerful, it was bringing down entire mountains and causing massive landslides. A creature whose song spells certain doom for all who hear it, Shara Ishvalda. Katana declared, everyone looking at the screen in awe, wondering just what kind of monster this creature might be.